All right, we are live. Let me see if I can tag everybody, and we'll get
Whoop,
started
whoop.
here. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. I'm just going to tag everyone. Let them know we are live. There we are. Perfect.
Like skin tags?
No, not quite. Not quite.
No, not skin tags. Okay.
There we go. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 pillars of trading mastery. All right. So we try to jump in here every Friday usually, and go over about 10 minutes of motivation, inspiration, education, anything to help you become a better you. And we appreciate everybody tuning in while we do that every week by week. But today we're coming in a day early. Jay's got some stuff he's got to do tomorrow. He's not going to be able to be here. So instead of skipping it or doing it solo, we jumped in a day early. So hopefully that's all right with you guys. And I know a lot of people will catch the replay, and that's okay as well. So if you have any questions or comments as we go through, certainly say hello to us. We always appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the 3 pillars of trading mastery. We're going to be breaking that down. And these are the 3 foundational pillars that you need to focus on to become a professional trader, a successful trader, I should say. If you only need to be missing one of these pillars, or really just if one of these pillars is weak, your whole trading process, your whole trading experience is going to crumble. So if you want to perform 10 times better than 98% of all the other traders out there, then listen to what we have to say here.
Okay, so let's talk about what are the 3 pillars. The 3 pillars of trading are strategy, risk management, and psychology, right? So if you miss any one of those, right, like David said, everything's pretty much going to fall apart, right? We've talked about it in the past, like, and we always use numbers like, trading is 90%. We could give you a crap strategy, and if you had the right mindset, you'd be successful. But really, there's a little bit more to it than that, right? And we're going to kind of break it down a little bit differently today. But if you miss any one of those 3, right, strategy, risk management, and psychology, then everything will crumble. And each pillar is important in and of itself, right, in its own right. But without any one of them, then the others won't succeed. And each one has its own merits, right? It's going to take its own work and its own effort for each one. But when you have them all, then you have a good foundation.
Yeah. So let's kind of break it down and put it into percentages here. So like Jay said, we always say mindset is like 90% of trading, but really if you think about it, strategy is probably 10% of trading. Your risk or risk management is about 20% of it. The psychology is probably 70% of your entire trading. So it's still a huge portion. It's the largest portion of your trading. The first 2, strategy and risk, are really just a matter of putting in the time to practice, putting in the time to learn, putting in the time to understand. Psychology is the hardest one, right? Because our minds most of us are raised to think opposite of the way we need to think when it comes to trading. So that's why psychology is essentially the hardest and what will hold the majority of the 3 pillars together. So, without the right mindset, you're not going to be able to follow the strategy, and you're going to totally disregard risk when the time comes. You're either going to be euphoric, and like Mark Douglas talks about, and you're just going to say, okay, I'm doubling down, right? Or you're going to be scared and afraid, and then you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to go less on this one just because I'm scared, or I'm not even going to take that trade because I'm scared, right? So my mindset, the psychology is massive. That's why we're a big advocate for talking about it. I mean, we talk about it all the time, obviously, because it's super important. We spend a lot of time addressing it. We want to help you overcome those mental obstacles, just as we had to overcome those mental obstacles, and we still have to check ourselves every single trading week to make sure we're not falling victim to psychology, or any kind of fears, any kind of greed, or anything like that. So to give you a kind of an analogy, strategy and risk are the car, but psychology is the driver. So you can have the strategy, you can have the risk, but if you don't have the psychology, that car's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to pull out of the driveway. It's not going to, you're going to wreck potentially if you don't know what you're doing. If I could go even further to make that analogy a little bit more, you think of strategy as the car, but your stop loss is your seatbelt, right? And then once again, the skilled driver is that psychology.
All right. So let's talk about pillar number 1, right? Pillar number 1 was strategy, and you need to have an edge, right? So you have to, do your research. You have to back test, forward test. You have to verify that it works. We always say a verifiable edge, right? A valid edge, and just having a trading plan doesn't necessarily mean it's a valid edge, right? You could have a trading plan that fails. Lucky for you guys, right? We already have 2 great strategies that we've already verified and we've traded, and we're teaching all you guys how to do. But the strategy development is essentially the first step, right? You have to create a system that's compatible with your personality, right? And you go through the testing phases and figure out something that works, that is a valid edge. And you do that over a large, sample of trades. And then you'll figure out what the valid edge is. Sorry. So like I said, the good news is we've already done that for you, right? So really you can take the strategies, learn them as we teach them, right? And move into pillar number 2, which is risk management.
Yeah. So, managing risk is obviously key. And the reason you want to do this is so you can have small losses and big wins, right? Instead of the 95% of traders out there that are failing, that are having small wins and big losses. It's talked about this. If you've read this book, we've recommended this book. It's called The Biggest Loser Wins by Tom Hugard, or I think it's how you say his last name. But, he even talks about it in the book. The majority of traders actually have a winning percentage, right? They were winning more than they were losing. But the problem is all their wins were small and all their losses were big. And so that's why risk management is absolutely key. You need the correct position size to let the probabilities continue to work in your favor so you can stay in the game. And it really works. It really works in 3 parts, right? Before, during, and after. So if you're thinking, the before is calculating your risk, knowing how much you're going to risk when you go into that trade. The during is how much you're going to keep. And then the after is an assessment of whether you need to reduce or increase based off of how you perform. So, think of it as the before, during, and after phases. And then that's where you're going to analyze and you're going to know this is how much I need to risk.
I thought it was interesting. I was listening to that book recently, and Tom was talking about how that study that he's using as his reference was like 25,000 traders and like 40 million trades over a course of number of years, right? That 60% of the traders, or they had 60% winning trades, right? Any strategy, if you have a 60% win, right, at 1-to-1 or better, right, you'd be profitable. But the reality is that the broker, they were doing the research. We're trying to figure out why people weren't winning, and that was it. Their losses were just bigger. So, yep. Anyway, pillar number 3, psychology, right? If you want to be able to stick to a plan, not, self-sabotage and stay cool under pressure, right? You need to work on your mindset. And that's why we're constantly, belaboring that point. I was going to say belittle. We joke about that with the team. You need to work on your mindset, right? Or the previous pillars really are useless, right? Any of them on their own is really useless. But the psychology is the kind of the glue that holds everything together, right? You need to be able to
Oh, we lost you. You said you need to be able to, and then we lost you.
You need to be able to execute and stick to your plan. Oh, it's just my internet?
Yeah, well, we lost you for a minute, but you need to be able to execute and stick to your plan. We got that part.
Sorry. So as you are trading, right, you'll feel all sorts of emotions, right, that you never expected. And that's a common thing when you start trading. People don't realize that that's a big part of it. And if you're not familiar with it, right, it kind of catches you off guard. And that's where most traders will fail, or they'll give up completely because they don't really understand what's happening. They're like, I traded on demo for a year and I was successful. And then as soon as I went live, I lost. And they don't understand what's going on. They think there's something wrong with the strategy. They need to go learn something else. So it's back to the books and demo again, right? When it's probably not the case. Most traders are focusing on the wrong thing, right? Triggers, understand why you have those to counteract that, right? To ways to not let them negatively impact your trading. So when you're going through the psychology stage, most traders will try to try to figure some outside source to take the blame, right? They'll go to signals, right? It takes signals, and then when that loses, they can not have to take responsibility for those losses because, well, it wasn't my trade idea, right? And I mean, it's pretty common. Like you'll plan a bunch of trades and then not execute any of them, and then somebody else will say, "Oh, gold's flying," you know, and everybody jumps into gold, and then it loses, and you're like, "It wasn't even my trade plan, right?" You don't execute the trades you did plan, and you execute trades you didn't plan, right? They get more indicators, you know, more monitors, different strategy, and we've all been there, man. It's not just, you know, at end, right? We've been through.
No, you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry. That was the gist of it. Sorry, guys.
But no, we have all been there, is what you were saying.
Yeah, I was just reiterating that, you know, this isn't like something that we're immune to, right? We go through it all the time, just like you guys. But the truth is really that the three pillars is really sets that expectation, right? That positive expectation. And if without it, you don't have that, right? You don't have an understanding of risk. You don't have the psychology to support you. And the real reason that your trading is failing is that one of those three pillars is probably weak, right? It probably needs to be bolstered. So when you break it down to just those three things, right? The three things again are
your strategy, your risk, and your psychology.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to look at my notes. When you break it down to those three pillars, then you can begin to kind of speed up that process, right? You can shortcut the process to success, right? To be consistently working and reviewing those three things to see which ones you might need to strengthen a little bit, right? Maybe it's not the strategy because we already have a strategy for you. Maybe it's not more time on the books, right? Maybe it's risk, right? We could teach you that too. But what we can't really teach you and that you will probably need to work on is the psychology part, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of to wrap this up and put some final thoughts on this, if you focus on these three pillars, the rest when it comes to your trading will fall into place. If you truly take the psychology part seriously, treat it like a business. Improving your psychology should be a business for you. Because if you do, it has the ability to pay you like a business. It takes time. It takes effort to master your mindset. It takes time and effort to master your emotions, but you have to work on it. Remember, you have to use a strategy to have an edge. You have to use risks to stay in the game, and you have to use psychology to play forever. And that's what we want you guys to do. All right. You guys and girls. I'm not chauvinistic. So hope everybody has a great week. Once again, we're a little bit early this week, but hope you took some value from this and you really think about it. Work hard on your mindset, your psychology. We've got the strategy for you. It's just a matter of practicing it. We're going to teach you risk management. Just a matter of following the plan. But psychology is where you're going to have to put in that sweat equity to change that mindset from what we're all raised with to what it really takes to be successful on the charts. So God bless. Hope you all have a great week. Jay, appreciate you, brother. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Take care.
See you.
Bye.